you have 4 of the linemen named as champions this week against guys, like you said, like the Steve and Zettel, high-ranked guys. Does that mean a little more when you're playing against guys like that and still grade out as a champion?
Yes and no. I think around here we're expected to play at that level week in and week out. Obviously it's more difficult against a higher level of competition, but, we're recruited here and we were brought here because we are some of the best players that there are. So I think you should be able to play at that level regardless of who you're playing against. It is more challenging, but, I think that's kind of the expectation. I think that is expected of us.
Coming out of Penn State a year ago compared to this year, what's the difference in feeling of where you guys were at as a unit, and you particularly? Mentality, confidence-wise, was there any difference?
I think we're farther along than we were this time last year. Everybody, there's always going to be a ton of questions and everything, especially people are gauging us off those last 3 games, but I think we are farther along than we were. Obviously, I think there's more chemistry because we've had a continuity of guys at the same positions. So I think we're in a good position right now going into the last stretch of our season.
Taylor, you said you guys answered questions with your play. For those of us with microphones, it would also help if you could answer those questions with words. Where do you think the offense is? What is the statement that you made?
Just that we're improving, and then we're a capable offense. I think we have been honestly playing well. I think the issues were turning the ball over in penalties, and like I said, I think we are farther along this time than as compared to last year. I feel good about the way we played. I feel good about the direction we're heading. So I think we got one more game against Rutgers, night game. It's going to be a good atmosphere, I'm sure, and then we're going to have that bye week to get guys healthy and get kind of rested up going into some tough games at the end of the season.
So which was more true, that we were judging you too harshly, or that you guys have taken a big step forward?
I think we have taken steps forward week to week. We've had some trip ups there, but I don't think it's fair to hold us. Obviously we want to be at the high standard, but everybody's going to say, oh, well, why can't you play like you guys did against Wisconsin last year every week? We play against good teams. They have scholarship players too. And there are other good teams out there. It's not like Ohio State's the only good team. So like I said, I think, we are improving. And I'm just happy with that. I'm happy with the direction we're heading.
Rutgers is kind of a dangerous team. They beat Michigan there last year, and they took Michigan State all the way down to the last play a couple weeks ago there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've studied them individually, but they've got some pieces on defense. But just going in there, 8 weeks into this and ready for that bye week, mm-hmm. and coming off an emotional win, is there some on guard here this week with Rutgers, or what do you think?
Definitely. I know from an offensive line standpoint, going into the game last year, they were one of the top teams in the country as far as like sacks and tackles for loss was concerned, if I remember correctly. Like I said, every team does have good players, and maybe their record doesn't reflect their ability. And obviously they scheduled it as a night game, so number 1 team in the country is coming into town. They're going to schedule a night game. I'm sure they're going to be ready to go. They're going to want to prove a point, and I think we'll be ready for that.
Taylor, how curious are you? You've never played at High Point Solution Stadium, right?
Mm-mm.
How curious are you to see a new place? To see a new stadium, or do you have time to sort of, for example, for want of another word, take in the sights? A little bit. Do you give yourself that little luxury at some point in a trip like this?
I do like playing away games. I enjoy the hostile environments and things like that, and it's always fun to play in new environments. Mm-hmm. I do enjoy that. Obviously, I love home games because you have your home fans there and everything, and that's fun. And there's a comfort level to that, and you're familiar with it. But there's also a part of me that enjoys going to somewhere I've never played before, going to a new hostile environment. I am excited to play in a new stadium.
Did you may have been asked this a minute ago, I wasn't over right when it first started, but did you notice a difference in the way Penn State was coming after you guys when JT was in the game, meaning knowing he had that option threat, knowing he had the run threat and stuff? Did they what did you notice that was different, and did it feel sometimes like last year a little bit to you when things were clicking?
Yeah, well, I said earlier, the thing with JT is he did a really good job of pulling on the read option. They were crashing on Zeke hard because earlier in the game we were able to pop some runs through there. When JT got in the game, he was able to pull it and run it effectively, and he does a really good job at that. I think that's one of his strengths. So then they were going to have to honor that, and then we were able to hand it off. And, Zeke was popped through there, so it's kind of a two-headed monster with them two back there.
And y'all got the ball back with 10 minutes left after your defense had stopped them, and y'all went clickety-clack, as I call it, down the track there with that one drive. I mean,
Okay.
what was it like to have a drive like that in that kind of game that sort of like put the game away? What does it do for everyone, I guess, to have from an offensive standpoint?
I mean, I think we just need to have the ability to do that when we're going to be playing close games, because the level of competition just keeps getting higher and higher. So you need to be able to do that. You need to be able to have long drives where you take time off the clock, keep your defense off the field, and I think that's just part of playing a complete game. If the defense gets a stop and we got to drive 80 yards, take 5-7 minutes off the clock, we have to be able to do that. That's what great teams are supposed to be able to do. And I know that we can do that, and I think we showed that we can do that against one of the top defenses in the country.
And the other thing, how important is it for a captain who is a captain to be playing? I mean, how important is it for JT to be part of the mix, in your opinion?
I don't really like that question.
Yeah.
But I mean, JT is a captain because of the type of person he is, and the way he goes about his business. It's not for me to say who should be playing, who shouldn't be playing. Obviously the coaches think that he should be getting playing time because they're putting him on the field. Aside from that, it's not for me to say.
Let me attack it from this angle. He got 3 quarters against Northern Illinois and couldn't take the job that day. He didn't play very well. A month later, it seems like he's back into a flow, back into a rhythm, looking more like the guy we saw last year. In your mind, is that the JT Barrett you're seeing now?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't. JT's JT to me. I don't think anything's changed. I think he's always been the same person since he stepped on campus day one. Handled his business all the same. Very mature guy. Not a lot of guys come in the program and are like that. And he's just a special type of person, and those are the kind of performances we expect out of him.
Hey, is Cardell handling this even better than you would have thought he would? The fact that we're still asking questions about the quarterback battle?
Well, I mean, the thing about Cardell is he's incredibly confident in himself, even if other people are not. I know there's a ton of scrutiny from media and everybody and fans calling for his head, but he's confident in what he can do, and obviously he has a ton of ability. We've seen that. We've seen it last year. We've seen flashes of it this year, and I think he understands that. We put this red zone package for JT, and he loves JT. He wants JT to do well, and vice versa. So I think it's rare for that to happen, and I'm happy that has happened because it's not creating a divide in the locker room, which I think would be a downfall if that were to happen.
I asked Joey Bosa this question a while ago, but I'm going to ask you because you're a leader on the offense. Is there a sense of this team maybe moving more toward its peak now and stuff coming out of Saturday night, the way y'all played, especially in the second half with the game on the line and stuff? What is the sense you have about this team that you didn't have a week ago or 2 weeks ago, Taylor?
I mean, I just think the big thing is just to improve week to week, and I think we need to be playing our best football at the end of the year. You look at years past, we were not going to be playing our best ball at the beginning of the year. That's just, would we like to? Yeah, but that's just not how it works. You're going to be coming out of camp. You're going to have to work out kinks. You're going to have injuries along the way, new guys stepping into new roles. And I think we're getting towards that. We're about to get over that hump, and it's going to start rolling downhill, and it's just going to be a snowball effect. So, like I said, I'm excited. I'm excited that we've taken steps, and some guys have shown maturity and shown improvement, and above all else, there's a positive mindset around here. Nobody's pointing fingers. We're just working every day to get better, which is the biggest thing.
How's Chase Ferris been this year? You talked earlier about the continuity of the line. He's the only new starter in the offensive line. What have your thoughts about his performances lately?
I think, at times he plays really well. I think he does a lot better in the run game than in the pass. And I think, a little bit of his issue at times just might be overthinking things. Obviously he's a first-time starter. He's worked really hard to be in the position that he's in. And I think, sometimes he just overthinks it instead of just going out there and playing. Have I seen Chase in practice be dominant in every phase of the game? Yeah. Am I still confident in him? Yeah. But I just think he just needs a level of comfort in there in the games. And, that'll come. That's just something that has to be worked out.
And he had a very tough matchup on Saturday. How good was?
Yeah. Obviously, he was 6'7", and he was a long athlete. But the biggest thing with him is he just played really hard. That's what you saw on film. It's not like he was going to blow you away with a speed rush or anything like that. Not to take anything away from him, because obviously everybody knows he's went from a walk-on not playing to being a starter leading the country in sacks. So that's pretty remarkable by him. But he was just a really high effort guy that was a long athlete. And for Chase not being as tall of a tackle, that length can be difficult to deal with. But I think for the most part he did a pretty solid job against him, considering how well he was playing.
Did you look up his height? Is that part of your scouting report, or did you just come across it?
It was. We got height, weights, everything on all of them. So
You think it'll help Chase in the long run to have had that?
Yeah, one, he goes against really good competition every day in practice, but that's not the same as going against it in the game. Practice is practice, and we try to get it as close to a game as possible, but it's just not the same. It's not going to be the same. You need to be exposed to that in a big time atmosphere and pressure situations, and I think he'll learn from it. And maybe he's a little frustrated with a play or two here or there, but it's just a learning experience. I've had those early in my career, so and it helped me a lot. So.
Taylor, it seems like Jamarco Jones has become almost the sixth man of the line. He kind of will fill in if Chase is having a rough time or if someone gets hurt or something like that.
Yeah.
He has to move him around. How important does he provide depth, and how important is depth to what you guys do?
I think for one, we've been really lucky around here where we've pretty much always had the same starters. Yeah, knock on wood. We've not had too much of an injury bug to where guys can't play, which that's awesome. But we do need to have depth, and we don't really have a lot of it, which that's concerning, especially if something were to happen. But Jamarco, he's this past off season, myself, I was paired with him for every workout. He's my workout partner because he needs to come along, and he did a really good job of that, progressing physically, and he's been playing better. One thing that I'd just like to see out of him is more consistency in practice, as far as practicing hard. Not everybody wants to go out there and every day and practice because practice isn't always fun, but you just need to be a professional about it and go out there every day and get better. I think he's playing really well, but I think the sky's the limit for him as far as ability.
Two more questions for Taylor.
Who else would you guys lean on, though? If an injury were to happen, like you said, you have a lot of questions right there behind the starting five there. Besides Jamarco, who else would be the guys you would look to come in a pinch situation?
I think, first and foremost, Jamarco would come in and we'd flip guys all around if we could. I think he's our most reliable. And then, Evan Lyle in there, an interior guy. He's just a tough, gritty guy. Outside of that, I don't think we have a ton of depth. And that's simply not because they're not talented enough. Just their level of execution isn't there in practice. It's not that they can't do it. They just need to show it in practice before people will be comfortable with them going in those situations. And I know Coach Meyer, one thing he said this week is he's going to challenge guys going into this week and the bye week especially to develop, because you have to develop.
Hey, Taylor, I've covered
Last question.
2 Ohio State coaches who are pretty smart, and both of them said play calling and scheme are kind of overrated. Are they?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, your great players have to play great. You look at a lot of our plays that may be negative yardage and things like that. It's not, we were outnumbered here, we were outnumbered there. It's a guy missed a block, a guy didn't execute properly. At the end of the day, I think Coach Meyer said it multiple times. you have to bring in good players and they have to play good. There's all types of different offenses, defenses, blitzes, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to your execution and, are your players going to play good when it matters?